This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Let me start off by saying, yes, this is Donald Trump's fault. It is Trump's fault. It is Trump's fault. He agreed to the terms of this debate, which is about 80 hours away now. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, but I'm ready to get really, really frustrated. Trump, the bravado got the best of him. As soon as Joe Biden said he's ready to debate, Trump said anytime, anywhere. I thought that was just talk, but no, he let Joe Biden and Joe Biden's team make the rules. He let them pick the moderators. He let them come up with every possible way to help Joe Biden. And they did, and Trump still said, I'm in. So we will see 3-on-1. It'll be Joe Biden, Jake Tapper, Dana Bash against Donald Trump. We will see 2 breaks where Joe Biden can, refuel. We'll see no live audience, which clearly would have been a benefit to Donald Trump. He's much better with live audiences. Hell, he actually performs in front of live audiences like he did this weekend while Joe Biden was hunkered down in Camp David for 7 days. He will not make a public appearance in the middle of a presidential campaign. That's all you need to know. He's there right now, prepping. I assume Jake Tapper is there with him, getting ready for this debate. But you could have agreed to a debate with anybody but Jake Tapper. I mean, you know what Trump should have done? He should have said, let's get Keith Olbermann and Rob Reiner. How about Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar? We'll get Rachel Maddow. Why not? What's the difference? Jake Tapper is the biggest fraud in the mainstream media because he pretends to be a journalist. He is not. He hates Trump. He loves Biden, and he will do his best to help the frail, feeble, confused old man make it through the 90-minute debate. As far as I know, he still has to stand up. The Biden team wanted to make a last-minute switch and allow the two to sit down. I don't think they're going to be seated. I think they're going to be standing, which brings the first question. Can Joe Biden stand for 90 minutes? I mean, he can hang on to the podium, but it's going to be a challenge. The whole thing is going to be a challenge for Joe Biden, and Jake Tapper is here to help. But this morning, CNN gave us a preview of Thursday night's debate. If you're wondering what it's going to look like, what it's going to sound like, well, Carolyn Levitt, who is a spokesman for Donald Trump, she's everywhere. She's good, got a lot of energy. Carolyn Levitt went on CNN, Into the Belly of the Beast, and sat down with Casey Hunt, another Biden operative who pretends to be a journalist, and she attempts to tell the truth about Jake Tapper. That's all. She wasn't slandering him. She wasn't lying about him. She just wanted to make the viewers understand who Jake Tapper is and where he stands and what he believes and who he supports. And they will have none of that on CNN. New rule on CNN. You're not allowed to tell the truth about people who work for CNN. This is what we're going to see on Thursday night. And I have to get ready for this. I have to prepare myself. It is going to be the most frustrating debate we have ever seen. It is going to be 90 minutes of the 2 moderators doing everything in their power to help their guy, Joe Biden. Watch this from today as they attempt to preview the debate on CNN. Go ahead.
So it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently
stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking
Trump
my colleagues.
Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will have equal time to Joe Biden when they both join us now at later this week in Atlanta for this debate.
Wow. Rattled.
Ooh, she is so flustered. So you're not allowed to point out that Jake Tapper has called Donald Trump Hitler. You're not allowed to say. Jake Tapper has a history of attacking Donald Trump and defending Joe Biden. That's not allowed on CNN. You know, the most trusted name in news. They wouldn't debate her. They just shut her down. They shut her off. That's what's going to happen Thursday night. And hopefully they're so overt about it that it backfires on them and Joe Biden. But that's the plan. What you just saw is the plan. If he does anything, says anything Jake Tapper doesn't like, Jake has the mute button. Jake can literally cut off Donald Trump's mic. As we pointed out many times, it's not really a debate. It's not an actual debate on the issues. It's an attempt to protect Joe Biden and stop Trump when Trump says anything Jake Tapper doesn't like. When Trump tries to introduce, the laptop, which Jake Tapper lied about for 4 years, Trump tries to bring that up. Jake Tapper's not going to let him. He's going to say, let's get back to climate change. Let's talk about January 6th. Let's talk about the insurrection. That's the plan right now. And again, I'll say it again. Trump agreed to this. Trump didn't fight this. He let them make the rules and he said, yeah, I'm in. He was so determined to get Biden on the debate stage that he gave up all his leverage and said, let's do it. And that's what we got. But we'll remind you about Jake Tapper. We'll remind you that Jake Tapper loves Joe Biden. We'll get to that interview with Joe Biden. But here's just a few of the things Jake Tapper has said over the last few years. At the end of Trump's term, he said, our long national nightmare is over. So Trump's 4 years, with all that peace and prosperity, was a national nightmare, according to this unbiased moderator for Thursday night. He said Trump's term was a time of great cruelty because he separated children and parents at the border, which, as we know, was the policy under Barack Obama and remains the policy. When you commit a crime, you don't get to keep your kid by your side. That's obvious, but that's a Democrat talking point that Jake Tapper has repeated over and over. He said Donald Trump used the dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler. So Trump is Hitler, and according to one of the two moderators, and he said he showed a wanton disregard for human life during COVID. That's the guy who controls the mic on Thursday night. Here he is in 2020, I believe, interviewing one of the candidates for president. That would be his guy, Joe Biden. This CNN would like you to believe is an unbiased journalist, which is just a joke. God, let's listen to a little bit of Jake Tapper giving Joe Biden a foot massage. Go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, for the final time, I guess, thank you so much for sitting down and doing this.
I always enjoy being with you, Jake. I really do.
So a lot of incredible tributes to you this week. You said it was a bit like being at your own funeral. Yeah. Your comments this week, whether you were joking or not, have prompted a lot of questions about whether or not you actually might run for president in 2020. I know you said you were joking, but you are experienced enough to know you never say never. You told Stephen Colbert that in 2020 you'll be 78, but Donald Trump will be 74. So age isn't going to be an issue, I suppose.
Well, look, age could be very much an issue, and it may not be. It depends on the state of my health and the health of whomever is running.
People used to call you middle-class Joe, son of Scranton. Is there a voice that will represent Scranton in there?
I'm not going anywhere. I learned how to become popular. Now you're not running for president, and boom, man, you're the most popular guy out there.
That's not entirely true. You're being a little... I can't believe that you didn't sit there at times during the campaign and think, Hillary, why don't you say, or you're not connecting with my people. You and President Obama won Lackawanna County, home of Scranton, by almost 30 points. Hillary Clinton she barely won it.
Barack and I knew, the president I knew from the beginning.
You can call him Barack. It's okay.
No,
stop. Hey, look at him. Hey, guys, you need to find yourselves, single guys out there, you need to find yourselves a woman that looks at you the way Jake Tapper looks at Joe Biden. Look at the smile, look at that twinkle in his eyes. He is in awe. He just loves the man, and he will be there doing his best to help him on Thursday night. God, what a disgrace. It's going to be hard for Trump to call out Joe Biden. He was asked about this weekend, and the inability to interrupt. And he just said it's going to be hard because Joe Biden tells so many lies. The lie that Donald Trump said there were fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. Interestingly, Joe Biden says that's why he decided to run. When he heard Trump say that, and he saw the guys with the torches and the veins bulging out of their necks, that was a lie. We all know it's a lie. Hell, it's on video. It's not even debatable. Trump said, I'm not talking about neo-Nazis or white nationalists, though they should be condemned completely. We've seen that video 1,000 times. It doesn't stop Joe Biden. He will say that Thursday night. He will say Donald Trump praised neo-Nazis, a debunked hoax that's 7 years old. Well, this weekend, Snopes, which is a far-left alleged fact-checking outfit, admitted for the first time since 2017, they admitted it is a lie. He didn't say that. I wonder if you had a real moderator, a real debate, would they ask that? Joe Biden, Mr. President, you have repeated over and over again the claim that Trump praised neo-Nazis. He did not. They could show the video. He did just the opposite. But it doesn't stop Biden, which makes Biden, I mean, they all lie, politicians lie, but nobody repeats debunked lies like Joe Biden. He can't help himself. So that might come up Thursday night, the fine people hoax. And that's going to be a test for Donald Trump. Everybody's advising him to relax, to be calm, to not get too excited, too aggressive. That's what he did in 2020 when he allegedly lost the debate, according to the mainstream media. I don't think he lost the debate, but he could have done better. He has to let Joe Biden drown. Joe Biden will have 2 minutes to make a statement, make a case, and it will be, invariably, it'll be full of lies and hoaxes, and he'll just repeat things because that's what he does. Trump has to sit back and just shake his head, give him a look. He can't get too excited. He can't start yelling, which is going to be hard because you think about it. They mute his mic. Your instinct is to just yell. I could still say my piece without a live mic, but if he does, it'll be a bad look and the media will be all over it. They'll be loving it. Trump is just not fit. He's just doesn't have the temperament. Joe Biden was more presidential. Joe Biden was more disciplined. That is what the message has to be this week when Trump starts preparing. Trump's busy campaigning. He's busy. He's out in the meeting with people, drawing huge crowds while Biden is locked down. I'm sure they're testing various cocktails to see what they can do to keep him awake and alert at 10:30 at night Eastern time. That's one thing I was surprised Biden agreed to, a 9 p.m. Eastern start time. That is way too late for Joe Biden. They have to just up the dosage to keep him going. But do we have more from fake Jake, who is, I assume, taking the week to prepare for the debate as well at Camp David?
This is
I'm dead serious. I think he's given Biden the questions. CNN did it before. It's not like it would be the first time. Donna Brazile gave the questions to Hillary Clinton when she debated Bernie Sanders. I'm not saying they hand him a sheet, but they tell him Biden will know what to expect from his campaign surrogate, Jake Tapper, on Thursday night.
This is Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, and Joe Biden saying Trump is Hitler.
Trump is Hitler. Yeah, so the guy who is going to be debating Biden is Hitler. Biden is Scranton Joe, middle-class Joe, this guy who's made tens of millions of dollars selling out this country, the guy who has mansions all over the place. That guy is Scranton Joe, and Donald Trump is Hitler, just to set the stage. Go ahead, play it.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States, this time given life by former president and current Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump.
Let's recognize this comment for what it is, a longstanding anti-Semitic trope that the true allegiance for Jews is to their religion rather than their country. It was used in Nazi Germany to justify the arrests, persecutions, and mass killings, attempted extermination of the Jewish people. And Trump has been pushing this trope for years.
He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany.
Oh, Trump has to say the words illegal alien too, which is a huge issue. It should be the number one issue. As I've said many times, when they ask about climate change, say, I don't really want to go there. Let's talk about illegal immigration. Let's talk about Laken Riley and Rachel Morin. Let's talk about all the victims of Joe Biden's open border. Trump has to go back to that over and over. Not once, not twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Just keep repeating it because there is no defense. It is a winning issue, a huge issue. And I assume Bash and Tapper will do the best to avoid it. So Trump's going to have to inject it. He has to pivot when they ask about just nonsense about race and about January 6th. He has to say, that's a good question, but I want to talk about Laken Riley. I want to talk about all the victims, the innocent Americans who paid with their lives so Joe Biden could fundamentally transform this country. I know the goal here for the next couple of days is to lower expectations. If Joe Biden makes it through 90 minutes, if he doesn't wander off into traffic, if he doesn't, defecate himself, then, it's a win. It's a win. That's what they're hoping. And to be honest with you, a total disaster for Biden in this debate will mean immediately that we start talking about who's going to replace him. So I really don't want that. I want to see him on the campaign trail. I want to see him at the convention. I want to see him in the next debate in September. So I want Biden to struggle, obviously, but not too badly, because then who do we get? Then we get the talk of Kamala Harris ascending to the throne. This is hilarious. And she never lets you down. In fact, if he had a competent VP, I think they might have already made the switch, but he doesn't. He has someone who is less popular than he is for good reason. She is a disaster. She is just not competent and not smart enough to do the job. This weekend, Kamala Harris describing, I don't know what an election is. I wasn't sure, so I appreciate the explanation here. But listen to this bubblehead.
Why is the race so close? These races are always close. It's the election of the president of the United States, and everyone in an election for president of the United States will critically examine all of the issues and make a decision.
That's what an election. Why is the race so close? That's a good question. Why is the race so close? Why would anybody vote for 4 more years of an open border, 4 more years of inflation, endless wars? That's a good question. I ask myself that every day. How is any American taxpayer actually going to vote for 4 more years of this? It's a good question. She doesn't know the answer, but that vice presidential debate's going to be good too, because all the guys on Trump's short list will just destroy her. And again, she'll have some help from the moderators. She'll have everyone rooting for her, but J.D. Vance, Byron Donalds, you name it, any of them, even Ben Carson, which is going to be a real disappointment. Trump hinted, he said he knows who his pick is, hasn't told him yet, hasn't announced it yet, obviously. But I'm still rooting hard for J.D. Vance, who's 39 years old, or Byron Donalds, who's 45 years old. That's what we need. Young blood, energy. We need a fighter. That's all. A fighter who's not in his 70s like Ben Carson or in his late 60s like Doug Burgum. Somebody made a good point about Burgum. They said he looks like George Washington, and he does. And Trump always bases decisions on looks. That's why he picked, Rex Tillerson, because he's a big guy named Rex, because that's why he picked John Kelly, or Mad Dog Mattis, because he liked the nickname. He always latches onto those superficial things. And he might pick Doug Burgum because he looks like George Washington, but that would be a huge mistake. It does nothing to win you any electoral votes. J.D. Vance is the guy. Just do it, Donald. J.D. Vance. Make the choice. Let him unleash him. Let him hit the campaign trail while you're in jail. That would help. Let him give a big barn burner at the convention. It'd be huge. And it's going to be tough I'm sure the media will start dissecting everything about his life, but they loved his book. They loved his life story before he went into politics. He was a great American hero, former Marine, Yale Law School, grew up dirt poor. Let them try to destroy J.D. Vance. I'm looking forward to it. All right, we got so much to get to on this Monday. Man, what an ending to the golf tournament at the Travelers. We got an update on the climate crazies, these absolute morons who stormed the green, 18th green, as Scotty Scheffler and Tom Kim were about to putt on the 72nd hole. And these morons, these clowns, stormed the green. Got a little roughed up. Not enough for my taste. I wanted a few more knees to the kidneys, but we got an update what charges they're facing, because I assume they'll drop the charges because that's what they do usually to these people. But we'll let you know what's going on there. And I know I do this all the time. I say this all the time, but you look at someone, like usually it's Liz Warren or AOC, and you say, how did someone vote for that? How does someone support that? We have the craziest, most unhinged member of Congress on stage in New York over the weekend, and he's running in the primary Tuesday, and people are actually going to vote for him. We'll show you the insane rantings of Jamal Bowman. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
All right, Jamal Bowman is losing in the polls to a guy named Latimer, who's allegedly a moderate. There's no such thing as a moderate Democrat, but he's not quite as radical or as insane as Bowman, who is a virulent anti-Semite, who's a plagiarist, we just learned, who is the guy who pulled the fire alarm to stop a vote, which I was told that's an insurrection, and that should get you, 10 years in jail. But he's a Democrat, so there was no price to pay for pulling the fire alarm. But he's the worst of the squad. All the squad members are anti-Semites. All of them are just radical, America-hating, Israel-hating, just awful, awful people, including AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib. They're just embarrassments to this country. But Jamal Bowman would be the most embarrassing. It is hard to believe he's an elected member of Congress. So he holds a rally in the Bronx, which is where Trump held a rally, a month ago, and drew 25,000 people. Well, AOC, supposedly the darling of the left, held a rally in support of Bowman. And I'm going to guess, 50 or 60 people showed up. Didn't look good for Jamal Bowman. But these two, I don't know what they're thinking. Like they want to be, rebels. They want to be radical. There's leaders calling for the overthrow of the government. They want to be Che Guevara. They're Congress people. And anyone who looks at this and thinks this is the way a Congress person should carry himself is insane. All right. She goes nuts. She's screaming and dancing. And then he takes it to another level and just makes a completely unhinged, profane speech to his few dozen supporters. And in the end, I think he sewed up his fate. He's going down on Tuesday, which is a great thing. It's too bad we can't do this to all the squad members, unfortunately. But one down. He's going down Tuesday, and that's going to be a wonderful thing. Let's watch some of this unusual campaign rally for Jamal Bowman. Go ahead. He thinks he's Travis Scott. He thinks he's a rapper, and he's just dropping F-bomb after F-bomb. This is his final campaign rally before the primary. He thought that was a good idea. She thought, by the way, what is she doing? Dancing? Doing cheerleading? What is she just jumping up and down like a lunatic?
Not the worst thing I've seen her do.
Hey, that video of her dancing from BU, she's a good dancer. This,
yeah,
not so much. This was embarrassing. And Ayanna Pressley, AOC, they're all working hard the next couple of days to keep this crazy person in Congress. And fortunately, I mean, this gives hope to this country that you can be too crazy. Even in a Congress that has, Rashida Tlaib, an absolute America-hating radical, even in that Congress, you can be too crazy. You can get too crazy, which is what Jamal Bowman is. And he's going down. I think Hillary Clinton endorsed his opponent, which is big. I mean, he's white and she endorsed him. I guess I'll give Hillary credit. That takes some guts. But even she knows this guy is a madman who should be nowhere near the levers of power. He's a former school principal. He was a principal of a school. That maniac jumping around and F-bombing everybody. Crazy. Do we have any more for Jamal?
We sure do.
Oh, good. Let's watch. Besides, he's wearing a T-shirt and shorts. I know things are more casual than they used to be, but this is a political rally for a guy who's facing a challenge, who's an underdog in one day, tomorrow. People are going to go to the polls, and he wants you to vote for this. Go ahead.
People ask me why I got a foul mouth. What am I supposed to do? You coming after me. You coming after my family. You coming after my children. I'm not supposed to fight back. I'm not supposed to fight back. We're going to show them who the fuck we are.
We're going to show them who the F we are. He's got one sleeve rolled up on his T-shirt for whatever reason. I don't know. There's a guy who, by the way, just in the last week, got caught plagiarizing his thesis. And it's embarrassing. He just steals everything. And got caught asking a Jewish guy to pose for a picture with him to prove he's not anti-Semitic. Just take a picture with me so I can say some of my best friends are Jewish. A guy who has literally called Netanyahu a war criminal, Israel, apartheid state and everything else, just hates Israel, hates Jews. And he knows he's losing. So I guess he thinks he'll get the real crazies riled up and get them to show up for him. But that's going to be good. I'm going to have to watch that. I want to see his concession speech. He's losing in the last poll by 17 points. That's how bad he is. Jesse Kelly makes a great point. He says there's two kinds of communists. There's the radical street communists, and then there's the communists like AOC who play the game, who make appearances with Joe Biden and talk about climate change, who support all the foreign wars. I mean, the radical, the people who used to be radical, anti-war, anti-establishment. That's not the fringe of the Democrat Party anymore. That's the squad people, the real crazies. For the most part, they support Biden. They support the agenda. But this nut is just so out there. They can't control him. He didn't play the game. He didn't stay in line. He went on racist and anti-Semitic rants, and it was just too much. So they decided he's got to go. That's how bad he is. They're okay with Ayanna Pressley and AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush. But this guy was just a step too far, just too much of a radical bomb tosser and didn't play by the rules. So they said he's got to go. But that's a good thing. We can all agree. You're out of here. All right, I got to get to this. We got to get to so much more here. Again, Thursday night, Trump has to, again, over and over again, talk about immigration. I want to get to this MSNBC interview. This is such a bad look for Democrats, for the media in general, that Americans are dying. We've talked about it every day about the 12-year-old girl raped and thrown into a creek in Houston by two illegal aliens, I believe from Venezuela. We talked about Rachel Morin murdered on a walking trail, raped and murdered. We've talked about, Laken Riley, Molly Tibbetts, Kate Steinle, you name it. The carnage is everywhere. And there really is no answer if you're a Democrat that, you hear the response, well, Americans commit crimes too. Well, that's true. Americans commit terrible crimes. Hell, there was, I believe, 16 shootings in Chicago over the weekend, 7 fatally. A young kid died. Then Democrats don't care about them because, it's black on black crime. They only care about black victims when they're shot by white cops or AR-15s. Lots of murders in this country, but murders by Americans are one thing. Murders by illegal aliens are preventable because they shouldn't be here. And Trump points that out. If he were president, if the border were closed, Laken Riley, Rachel Morin would be alive today. That's simple. That's black and white, easy to understand. Any victim of a crime by an illegal alien is imminently preventable. Could have been prevented. Joe Biden has blood on his hands. We all know that. We all know why he let them all in. He wants them to vote. He wants them to vote for him. So he opened the border, said, come on in, surge the border. That's what he said. And then when he got here, then we got in office, he said that this is who we are. Come here seeking refugee. They're not real asylum seekers. They're fake. But he said, come in and we're not going to deport you. Even if you're caught drunk driving, he said that. I don't consider that a deportable offense. He doesn't want to deport anyone because he's hoping they will all vote for him. Some of them, unfortunately, are gang members and just savages who have no respect for human life. Those are Joe Biden's people. That's what Trump has to say Thursday night. But there is nothing funnier than, I guess it's not funny, but more telling. After Joe Biden botched Laken Riley's name at the State of the Union, called her Lincoln Riley, after he was forced to even mention her name, he went on with Jonathan Capehart and apologized, not to Laken Riley, not to Laken Riley's parents, to the murderer who he called an illegal alien. He said he should not have done that about a murderer. Yes, he should not have done that. And they're sticking to this, man. They don't want you to call murderers illegal because no person is illegal. This is Simone Sanders, this wiffle, the woman with the buzz cut, who is about as far left and crazy as any of them. Joy Reid or Rachel Maddow or any of them. And they were discussing illegal immigration. And she wanted to make it clear on her show, on her network, on MSNBC, nobody's illegal, not even these savages who raped and murdered a 12-year-old girl and threw her into a creek. Go ahead, play it.
What do you tell the parents of those people, those young girls who were killed? This is absurdity. The preponderance of these people, Michael, are male.
But what is the difference between an illegal immigrant who unfortunately engages in that activity?
And we don't like that. I want to be clear. We don't use the term illegal. So
we don't,
undocumented individuals.
They're illegal aliens.
Undocumented individuals versus anyone else who commits the same crime. Well, I mean, it's so.
What is the difference? He knows it. I guess I'm tired of that. It's just so stupid. Obviously, the difference is the illegal should not have been here. Why is that so hard to explain? And what upsets the host is not the murder, rape of a 12-year-old or a mother of 5 or Jocelyn Nungary. That doesn't matter. Doesn't say her name. Doesn't care about her. She cares that they use the term illegal, which is actually a technical term the federal government uses. They're illegal aliens. There's your mainstream media. There's your Democrat Party. Don't call, whatever you do, don't call the people raping and murdering 12-year-olds and throwing them in the river. Just don't call them illegal. That would be wrong. That is so insane and just such an anomaly. There's no normal human being who has a problem with calling these monsters illegals. But MSNBC, Joe Biden, probably Jake Tapper, they don't want to hear it. Don't be calling those people illegal. God, these people are insane. And Michael Steele, who's the biggest fraud out there, he knows the difference. He knows that the illegal alien crime could have been stopped at the border, that those guys, those gang members, should not have been let in the country. He knows that. But he's there to protect Biden. So let's not call the fellas illegal. The fellas who lured Jocelyn Nungaray under the bridge and then treated her like just a piece of garbage. Threw her in, raped, murdered, and threw her in the creek. Those guys, don't call them illegal. God, I hope they're facing the death penalty, which is, it's in Texas, so there's a good chance because that's too good for them. But all right, we got to get to the big finish at the Travelers. Oh, and I spent some time watching another girls basketball game. I can't help it. Caitlin Clark is a blast to watch. She lost to Angel Reese, who's a dog. That's what she said after the game. I'm a dog. Oh, but it was in the Jam. It was in a sold-out arena in Chicago, like 18,000 people, and they were all there to see Caitlin Clark. And Angel Reese thinks they're there to see her, but I hate to break it to you. They're there to see Caitlin Clark. I tuned in to see Caitlin Clark. She's fascinating. And here's my conclusion once again. Her teammates stink. Someday, Caitlin Clark's going to be on a good team with good teammates, and she's going to be amazing. But right now, she's on the worst team, a team that was the worst last year. That's how they got the first pick. And now her teammates just can't keep up with her. And, what else? Oh, God, man, we got so much to get to. Let's take a break, and we'll get to all that and more.
Excuse me.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'm looking down. I got to get. Oh, there's a requirement. And people don't know this. I think it's really publicized everywhere. But the Biden administration has a rule when they hire and promote people. The freakier, the better. To be hired, to be part of the Biden team, you must be an absolute freak. And normally when you think, and I've heard people say it many times, if some young person, in college or just out of college is thinking of, getting a tattoo or a nose piercing, you think, what will that look like in a job interview? Is it a smart thing to do? Get a neck tat because you're going to be looking for a job, and that's probably not going to help. Well, things have changed. If you're, and I said this during all the riots at the college campuses, all the pro-Hamas riots, I said, lots of people will say, remember these people there and don't hire them. They're never going to get jobs. And I said, of course they're going to get jobs. They're going to be judges and DAs. They're going to be college professors and college presidents. That's the pipeline. And if they're lucky, if they're really freaky, they're going to get a job working for the president of the United States, because decency is back in the White House, and we've gone through it so many times. Sam Brinton, remember Sam Brinton, the non-binary freak who had a thing for stealing women's luggage? How about Rachel Levine, formerly known as Richard Levine? Rachel Levine was a disaster as a health official in Pennsylvania. He put COVID positive patients in nursing homes and took his mother out. He did just what Andrew Cuomo did. Cuomo, was booted for that and other things. Levine was promoted to the Biden administration because he's kind of a freak. He's a guy that pretends to be a woman and wants to promote sex change surgeries, sexual mutilation of children. That's what Rachel Levine does. But person in good standing at the Biden administration. We know the two staffers, the Senate staffers, who were having a little man love on the Senate floor. We know this, the transgender guy who flashed his fake bosoms at the White House event with Joe Biden and Joe Biden standing right there. So you can't be too freaky for the Biden administration, but this guy is pushing it. A new hire, a new promotion. His name is Tyler Cherry. I think he's the one on the left, Ironhead, right? Although you can't be sure. Here he is.
They're both probably hired at this point.
Yeah, that's true. The one on the right is probably the applicant. They're probably has an interview today to be this guy's assistant, but he was just promoted to assistant, the new assistant communications director at the White House, Tyler Cherry. He doesn't just identify as whatever that is. Look at him. He's got a woman's little sundress on with a hairy chest and a purse, and his I don't know what that is. His date, his boyfriend, girlfriend.
His date. I like the date.
His date. That guy. He's not just a freak. He's got this long history of absolute radical insanity. He compares cops to slave owners. He wants to defund the police, to lynch mobs and slave patrols. That's what he called cops. He is total, Black Lives Matter fanatic. Total. I mean, you name it. He's for it. As crazy as out there as you can get. He's the assistant communications director. He might be holding press briefings like in the middle of a war or some international crisis. That guy may stand up at the podium and speak for the White House. Let me get his history. It's so unbelievable. You would think any one of these things would disqualify you from serving as not just in the White House. He's going to be in meetings with the president, vice president, dressed like that.
Ukraine will take him seriously.
I mean, there's so many pictures of him too, of out there like naked. And here's just a few of his tweets. He writes, police equals slave patrol, voter ID equals poll taxes, NAACP bombing equals KKK. Neither slavery nor Jim Crow were that long ago. We've just evolved. He writes that the police system is a direct evolution of slave patrols and lynch mobs. He says, queer people of color and the intersectional role that race and sexuality play in police brutality. What? Abolish ICE. He wants to abolish ICE. And he came out yesterday with a statement saying, oh, those were just my thoughts, my beliefs a long time ago. I've changed. And it just goes on and on. You'd think one of these tweets that say, sorry, we can't have someone this crazy. But if he weren't, here's what you have to keep in mind. If Sam Brinton were just normal, if this guy, Tyler Cherry, were just a normal guy, he's a white guy. He would have zero chance of getting a job in the White House. But he's a lunatic freak. So he's in. He said on X yesterday, past social media posts from when I was younger do not reflect my current views, period. Gee, does that apply to everybody? Does that apply to college kids who the left destroys every time they find some silly racist joke they made when they were 12? I don't think so. But it applies to the White House communications director. I'm looking forward to the press conferences. You know what? It's probably an upgrade to KJP. KJP, who's there because she's black and she likes women. And Kamala Harris is there because she's a woman of color. And Rachel Levine's there because he's pretending to be a woman. And Pete Buttigieg is there because he likes men. That's the qualifications. That's what they view as qualifications to serve in the White House. Just amazing. All right, let's get to it. We got the video of the 18th hole. It was great. Travels is a good tournament. It's a big tournament, great field. Tom Kim is one shot back on 18. Scotty Scheffler's 22 under, about to try to close it out with a birdie putt on 18. Kim's lining up a 10-foot putt to tie him and force a playoff. I was watching live. It was pretty good, pretty intense. Well, it got even more intense as 6 climate lunatics storm the green and spray paint or whatever it is, powder, red powder, white powder. They all have these T-shirts on saying whatever, Extinction Rebellion, climate this, climate that. Golf, one of the T-shirts says, there'll be no golf on a dead planet. So they're just buying into the silliness. Some of them, a couple of them look like they're like 65 years old. And that's how they spend their Sunday in late June. Let's let's disrupt the golf tournament and to save the planet.
Guy gets tackled right in the line too.
It's a good tackle, but not enough. I wanted more of a, kind of a Dick Butkus knee to the head or something. It was a good tackle, brought him down, arrested them. This is from ESPN. 6 climate protesters who stormed the 18th green while the tournament leaders were lining up their putts will face charges. I have them here. Cromwell, Connecticut police said each protester was charged with first-degree criminal mischief, first-degree criminal trespass, and breach of peace. They were released after posting $5,000 bond, and they're scheduled to appear in court July 1st. Now, that means they'll drop the charges any day now because that's what they do. These are Biden supporters. These are good liberals. So I'm sure they'll face no jail time. That's why they continue to do it. I'm sure they'll face no real fines. And if they do, they have backers like Soros types. They have money. In the last 2 weeks, it just gets more unhinged. Has there ever been a protest for a cause that does less to win support of the public? I mean, I guess blocking traffic, they do that too. They block traffic, which is just nuts. But who would look at this and say, you know what? I think we should ban fossil fuels. Good idea. How does this work? What do they hope to accomplish?
I don't know. It's like when those people throw SpaghettiOs on like the Mona Lisa.
Right.
I don't know what it does.
And I understand. I mean, I shouldn't say understand that. I guess they don't like, the modern world, modern conveniences. They don't like modern technology. Of course, I don't think they walked to the golf tournament. I don't think those shirts and shoes and pants that they have were made without fossil fuels. In fact, I know they were, and I'm sure they all have an iPhone in their pocket. These people are hypocrites, but they're just gullible sheep with minds of mush who think that somehow that we're all going to die in a blaze of fire because of fossil fuels. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's been debunked many times over, but that's their cause, and they have empty skulls and empty lives, and this is what they've decided to. This is their passion. They spray painted Stonehenge, which is not exactly a symbol of modern technology. Just the opposite. That to me was the least, coherent, sensible thing they've done. Spray painting Stonehenge. They spray painted private jets that they thought were Taylor Swift's. They weren't. Taylor Swift wasn't there. I think it was in Tennessee or wherever it was. They spray painted and then they sit proudly and wait to get arrested. Spray painting a private jet at least makes more sense than spray painting a green on 18. But all they do is alienate more and more people. All they do is appear more and more insane and unhinged. Who does that persuade? I know the answer is nobody, but who do you think? Who are you hoping to persuade? I mean, you're again, there's a couple of them in their 60s, and you're saying, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to disrupt the golf tournament, get arrested, go to jail, maybe for an hour, maybe for a night. And what? Who do I win over? Who listens to me now? Who considers my argument? We've seen lots of protests, including crazy anti-Semitic protests this weekend in LA. It's just out of control. They're beating up little Jewish women for Palestine, for for Hamas in LA, and they'll probably pay no price because they don't have red hats on. They're not Trumpkins. But I want to know who saw that and said, maybe I'll buy an electric car. Maybe I'll buy some solar panels because what they did at the golf tournament. All right, before we go, Caitlin Clark is amazing. Her teammates stink. They had a big lead. They blew it because her teammates can't keep up with her. Anybody who argues that Clark is not great because she turns the ball over, she turns the ball over because she takes chances, because she has the ball in her hand in the home game, and there you go, right there. She throws passes like that her teammates can't catch. She's great, and someday you'll see. That's why she should be on the Olympic team, so she can have some talent around her. Watch this length of the court pass, boom, off her teammate's hands. It would have been a layup. Instead, it's a turnover. And if I've watched too, by the way. People think I don't watch. I watch. This is like the 5th game I've seen of her this year. She gets lots of turnovers because of plays like that.
It definitely wouldn't have been a dunk.
No, I don't think that girl was going to. Although there's some big girls up there and there's some skills. I mean, it's frustrating to watch. There's so many whistles. The refs suck too. They blow every play dead. It's just so. There's no flow to it. But Angel Reese won the game. Yeah, this is a funny one. Watch this.
Yeah, a couple of travels and a carry.
Travel, they carry. Watch this. Just carries. No whistle. But Caitlin Clark lost. Her team is 7-11, which is not good, but they were the worst team in the league last year for a reason. Someday we'll see her on a good team, and you will see how good she is. But all right, that will do it for today. This Monday, 80 hours to debate. I'm already excited. I'm ready to be entertained and really, really frustrated. I think that's the mindset going in. It's going to be really frustrating, but it's going to be big, and we'll get to see if the president, the leader of the free world, the commander-in-chief can stand up for 90 minutes. That's the question. But we will soon find out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Ironhead. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan